to a show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats Podcast. And, it's me. I don't even got to say my name. You know it's me, though. For this episode, I want to actually welcome back a friend to the podcast. Been on a few times in the past. We haven't talked in a while, so it's about time we catch up and see what's going on in life. And I think the last time I spoke to them, they were a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. So it's been that long. So now they're back. So I want to welcome back to the podcast, Miss Julia B. What's up, Julia? How you feeling?
Hello. I am feeling good. I'm trying to balance my new life, which is so many changes, not just purple belt. So since we last talked, I don't know if you want me to summarize them, like run through them, and then we'll talk about the fun parts and the not so fun parts,
Hey,
or
it's your show.
just get into it. I don't think it's my show. Don't tell me it's my show. I will get overwhelmed.
Hey, I look whenever you are on as the guest, I'm taking your lead because look, I'm just here. I'm part of the audience, to be quite honest. Whenever I have guests on, I want to hear your story. So I'm part of the
Yeah.
audience too. So let's go ahead and do a quick summary, and then let's just go right into it from there.
Okay. Well, I did get my purple belt and I met a wonderful human who is now my fiance. And because I met him, he's also a black belt. So of course we're like right away, we're like, yeah, that's my person. That's my little weirdo, you know. We both love jiu-jitsu and reading and video games and rent fairs. So it's like perfect. And because of that, I said, of course, fiance, I will move to Virginia for you, away from my friends and family in Georgia that I've lived in the past 10 years. So got the purple belt and then immediately just vacated my gym, essentially left the house I bought, sold it, and now, gosh, I guess it'll be a year later, 2 years. Wait a minute, I've lost track of time. It's like crazy how much I've lost track of time now. At this point, I'm living in Virginia and we just opened our own jiu-jitsu gym, and balancing that and a wedding coming up next month, and yeah, and my real life job, and trying to train in an area where I've never really trained before, and balancing going into new gyms and saying, hi, can we train with you until our gym is open? And that awkwardness. And then a whole menagerie of animals. You probably hear the puppy squeaking in the background. In addition to her, I have the cat who's trying to eat the parrot who lives in an aviary. And then in the garage, we have 6 baby chicks. So,
Oh wow,
welcome to the party.
sounds very, very, very busy.
Yes. And yet I still, like, I guess, I have all these things going on. I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably get the now open sign for the gym. But what did I spend this morning doing? Sitting outside on the side of the road cheering on marathon runners, because it seemed like more fun to me to like sit outside and hand them donuts and water with my dog and sit in the sun. So
Well, it's definitely more fun, I would imagine.
mm-hmm.
We make our fun, but yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like you've got a lot going on. Just a lot on the plate, and there's nothing wrong
Yes.
with that at all. So
I guess.
congrats on the purple belt, because I
Thank
don't
you.
even, I think I saw the when you got your purple belt a while back,
Yeah, it was a while
and
back, but it's okay because I'm gonna have it forever. If you marry a black belt, you'd think, oh, they're gonna get their belt like super early. No, not the one I picked. I think the one I picked is not gonna give me a black belt until I'm like 60, and I'm not even 30 yet. So
I've It's funny because I've seen that, and I'm like, ooh, like, yeah, everybody's like, oh, well, like they're gonna get their next belt, because of this. Is like, actually, it's more reason for them probably not to give you the belt now. It's like, no, I don't want people to think it's favoritism. You got to
Hmm.
really, really earn this belt.
Yeah, I think
So
the only way that I can really get like my next belt earlier than than he would give it would be if I like won like worlds or something to where he would have to give it to me.
yeah,
And I'm
there
still
is no
scared of
choice.
worlds. I will not go.
Well, see, you've made the decision to stick yourself at purple forever. Then
I think purple's the funnest belt. You
my
know,
favorite color.
it's my favorite color too. And I honestly don't want the brown belt because it's not a very pretty color.
Mhm.
Like the rash guards, I haven't seen a brown rash guard that I like. So,
Yeah,
speaking of rash guards, did you know the funnest part of opening your own gym is getting your own merch?
Hmm.
We
I
designed
can
a
see
sick
that.
logo, and we're working with like our gi company and our no gi company, designing my own clothes. It's very fun. You know about
Of
that. You have
course.
your own merch.
Somewhat. I, I have some merch. Sometimes I get excited. I'm like, "Ooh, I've got an idea," and then I don't know how to pace myself. So I have like 20 ideals and put them all out, and it's like too much, too much. And then I'll
Yeah.
clean it all up, and then there's one ideal, and but fun times all the same.
Yes. And I apologize if you hear screaming. That is the bird. Um, the parrot is not very friendly.
It's quite all right here on the podcast. This is you know in the moment. So
Yes.
whatever's going on is what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, congrats on the belt, congrats on the engagement, congrats on opening the gym, congrats on the move. You got, like I
Thank
said,
you.
you got a lot going
Just
on
all I
here.
need is the congrats on like surviving it all and being done. That's all I
Well, you're
want
almost there.
to balance
Almost there.
out. I know. I'm like, just till April, the wedding will be over. The gym will be through the first like portion where I just go and read a book because nobody's come yet because we haven't done all the marketing.
Mm,
If I could just get through April, I think we'll be good and I can get into training and maybe get back to some competitions because I miss it. I have not been competing. I did one competition at purple belt and I miss it.
it's funny because my team is up in Virginia right now.
You're doing
Virginia
Virginia
Open's
Open.
going on,
Yeah, I was
and
sitting around at our open class, our open mat yesterday, and I was like, huh, I really thought that some of the other gyms would come by. And I was like, oh, no, everybody's at Virginia Open right now.
yeah, what I think when we had so Friday night our nogi class, it was a larger turnout than normal, and it it didn't click in my head until you're looking around and seeing who's there, and then coach says, "Oh yeah, if anybody's competing, you know, let me know if there's anything you want to go over." I was like, "Oh, that's why it's a heavier class tonight." And then Saturday's class, I
Dead.
show up and there's 4 people.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay, this is how it goes." And
Hmm.
I honestly forgot that the Virginia Open was this weekend. So I was in class on Monday, and our coach did say something. He was like, if you can make it out there, even if you're not competing, just support the team. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'll go out there. I'll make the trip.
Hmm.
And I don't know why I thought it was the next week versus this weekend. And I don't know. My brain just
So I think it's
whatever.
because it's February. I think February is a limbo month. It doesn't
Hmm.
make any sense. It's too short. Sometimes, some years it has more days, some days it has less. It's like, what is February? I don't appreciate it. I'm glad it's over.
It's like Garfield says, February is the Monday of month.
It is. It
So
very much is.
yeah, I
Yeah.
and that's my birthday month, but it's still one of those months that I feel like, ugh, like let's get through this. It's cold and then
Yeah.
just gross. But
Well, happy belated birthday.
well, thank you, thank you. And for you, you were saying, you're kind of visiting other gyms, just trying to get somewhere to train into your spot. Is like,
Mhm.
what has that been like for you? Like, how many different gyms have you
Oh
kind of
gosh.
gone about?
Well, you know how I love to travel and go to different gyms. It was actually like a really interesting experience because I kind of had two experiences, like one of my own and one as like going with my partner Vance and him being a black belt. And so one of the gyms, two of the gyms I actually knew. One was like 30 minutes away over the river, and I'd been to them before, and he's friends with my professor and like cool gym. And then the other one, also 30 minutes away, and like family friend, kind of, but I like hadn't met her anyway. It's a connection. And we um trained at that one that was a family friends when we came to visit for my fiance's interviews, and they were very nice. And so we trained at like those two plus a third that was also over the river, and we let them know like, hey, like we're gonna open a gym, and they were like, not a single person has been mean to us. I'll start with that. Everybody has been very welcoming
Good.
and not like really seeming to care that we're opening a gym. Not in a bad way, but like not in a what are you doing on our turf? Um,
It's the
but it
Warriors.
yeah. So in our town there was I want to say we're probably like the fourth purely jujitsu gym in town within like 15 minutes. And so we just went, I feel like we got closer and closer to like our location, kind of feeling out and asking like a game of telephone. So we started the gym furthest away. We're like, what do you guys know about these gyms? And basically, I think we were the town gossips just running around like, hey, do you know this gym? Would they be nice to us? Can we go over? Would they be friends? Would they hate us? And, everybody has their own opinions. And so it's interesting to get like differing views. But everybody generally had the same thing of like, oh, yeah, they're cool. And they're a more like Gracie style gym, or they're a more informal, or they only do MMA. You're not doing MMA, so if you want to go over to ground and pound, go ahead. I'm like, no, not going for that. Um, yeah, it was interesting getting to know all the different gyms and then also seeing the difference of like if I went into a gym, I get a very different welcome than how my fiance gets a
Oh,
welcome as a black belt because uh and he's kind of a big guy. And yeah, it's just interesting because like I went to one gym and it was like a smaller class I went to, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like that's cool." And I told them like, "Yeah, we're gonna open our gym and everything." And then I went to, and they seemed like really wanting to talk to me and everything. And then I went back with him the next time, and they were like, "Oh, hello, black belt. How are you?" And they were like, I think because they were a more traditional gym, they were they were just more respectful, I guess, but less talkative because maybe like at their gym, maybe they don't chit chat like I like to chit chat, and you definitely
sure.
don't chit chat with a black belt. I don't know, but it was just funny seeing that to me. Like I'm not a black belt. I don't know. I also just talk my head off when I go rolling. That's how I relax.
Hey, I mean, I I say there's nothing wrong with that. Apparently, some people think there is. I mean, I'm a chatty Cathy when I'm rolling, and I
Yeah.
know it's obnoxious to some people and others. They take the bait, and I'm like, yes, they're distracted. I can get my move off now.
Don't tell them our secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really good to go around to the other gyms, first off, because we moved here in July and we literally just got our gym open. So we had to train somewhere besides your living room where Matt's lived. Uh, and it was just good to get a feel for what the other gyms offered as far as, I mean, basics, their courses and stuff, you can see that, but just their vibe and everything, and to know that yes, we were coming into an environment that had other gyms, but we're also offering something very different at our gym. So I think it's a good mix, of we're I think we're kind of down the line of like not super casual, but not super traditional gym. And we care about safe training above all else. We will encourage you to compete, and you can come out and compete with me if you want. If not, that's totally fine. You know, so I think we're really like kind of straight down the middle. And then we're also really trying to get more women to train at our gym. And that's the main goal. Everybody's like, "Oh, what's your gym goal?" You have to have a gym goal. At first, I was like, "I just want to have a fun place that's nice to train. That's mine." And I was like, "I guess more women." So
Yeah. I mean, there's, definitely, a need for that for sure is,
yeah,
kind of that place where, in a male dominated sport as a, female, you go there and you feel like, what, this is home. I feel welcome. And that's not to say
Mhm.
that, women don't feel welcome at, other gyms, but, you hear
Yeah,
stories.
yeah, and that was also a big part of it, of going to the gyms and just seeing like overall, like, where women were training, and, I mean, I guess that's for my whole background is, getting to know the women that train, why they train, what makes us happy. I mean, I know what makes me happy, but I'm not every girl. So, um, yeah, and, like, I feel like I'm also trying to get everybody on the board of, women's classes, because apparently in our area, there used to be a rotating uh women's only open mat at like all the surrounding gyms. I think like at least 5 of them, they would go like one different one every month, and they just stopped doing it. I was like, we're gonna start doing that again. Okay, you guys could get on board, or you can just come to my gym. I don't care. um that's where we're like not traditional at all. Vance and I
Sure.
both are of the opinion of cross train as much as you want. This is a free market, and you are going to learn how your jiu-jitsu works against other people best when you go to other gyms, and we want other
Mhm.
people to come to our gym. So it's never going to be a mat fee if you come to our gym. And one thing that we are borrowing from another gym is that if a black belt wants to train at our gym, they train for free if they can teach one class a month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I was like, that's a great idea. I will also do that.
Uh, I think, again, making it where, especially with you being, co-owner, owner of the gym, you're a woman. So it makes sense, kind of having that focus, woman focus. I mean, it's a jiu-jitsu, focused gym in general, but,
Mhm.
again, want to make it a welcoming space for other women grapplers out
Yeah.
there.
I
And
even went on like the Facebook women's Facebook group page, and I was like, hey guys, if you're opening a gym, what would you want at your gym? And everybody like posted all these different things. And I was sad because our first location that we're at now is like, it's pretty tiny. So there's no showers and there's no women's specific locker room. And that was like the two biggest things that ladies wanted. But I do have a very nice assortment of like dry shampoo and deodorant and mouthwash. And I made a little kids corner. So even though we're not having kids classes because they will give me migraines, you can park your children there and train.
well, that's
So
good.
yeah,
You know,
we gave them
that
like a
that
little area and some coloring books. I'm like, there you go.
yeah, those things matter. That I know for me early on when I was training, there'd be days where I'd have to go in to train. Well, I didn't have to. I wanted to go in to train. I have my daughter with me,
No,
and it's
you
like,
had
oh,
to for your mental health. Okay, you had to.
that's a fact. Uh, but there'd be a couple times I'd have my one friend. She'd come along like, "Hey, can you watch Sophie while I train?" And then my grandma
Mhm.
even came one time. It was like, "Hey,
Aw.
can you sit over here with the kid and make sure she she was still really really little." So
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like, make sure like, she's sleeping. I don't know what
Mhm.
babies do. Like, do they sleep? She might be pooping. So, could you handle that? But, I think those things are important because like even at our gym, we have kind of a kids corner. It's like you know, books, little puzzles, and then there's a TV with
Mhm.
a video game system, for the
Nice.
older kids, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it's like, that's something that I feel like is an underrated, um, thought there. With the gym is like have a place to park your kids. If you're, you know, training at a time where you're going to have your kids, or you're a single parent or something like that,
Mhm.
it's important to have that release for yourself, and then a space for your children to be at safely while you're partaking.
Yeah. I think, like, besides having more women train, the biggest goal of our gym is just to have more people training because we know how good it is for your mental health. And so, like, especially
Mhm.
for students, our students are getting the most discount off our prices. That was something really tricky figuring out was our prices. If Vance had his way, we would have organized as a nonprofit. And I have no problem with that. I just have the problem of I have to do all the paperwork. And it looked like a lot more paperwork to do. Um, but basically, we decided, like, we tried to do market research. Did you know most gyms don't post their prices online? Um,
I do know that
yeah.
because I've I've looked around at times in the past, and I'm always like, huh. I'm curious. I want to know what the price is, and it's like I guess I have to go in and ask, and then that's when I get a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, I said I don't think I can do it that way because I already don't answer my phone in general, so having people call me to ask the price is not gonna end well for our gym. So we just
Right.
posted online, and then I was like, we're also just gonna do a boatload of discounts. So you got our standard like first responder, teacher, military, and then our students get the most discount. And then we're also working out a sliding scale, meaning, I think we're going to follow the YMCA. They do it the best, where it's like, if your income level is at this, you will only pay like X amount percentage of the membership price to make it so that everybody can train. And we wanted to have that set out in the beginning because we also understand jujitsu. A lot of gyms, I think, are already doing this, but they just don't have a policy on it.
Mhm.
And that's where I think things get a little funky with your members. They're like, hey, like, why am I paying this much and this person's paying this much? And it's just like, oh, well, the gym owner decided. And I said, well, we can do it. We just need to have a set policy, and that'll be the fairest thing and the most like appreciated, I think. So we're excited about that policy as well.
Good, good. I always think about because I just assume we all pay the same prices at my gym. I treat it
I
like
did
work.
too. I
We don't
did
ask,
too.
what anyone else is making. We don't ask what anyone else is paying. We just go in and train.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I think as I got more involved in the Reddit rabbit hole
Oh
of
yeah.
researching, so I'm like a research queen, and seeing like the owners' discussions of gyms and seeing pitfalls and where things have gone wrong. Like, okay, let me get out in front of this because that's literally what I do for my professional career is prevent problems. So I'm going to start the gym the same way I'd work is we're going to research the heck out of things and we're going to put in way more policies than we need right now. And I don't care because if I do all the work now, I don't have to do anything later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
oh,
Our waiver
eh,
is 5 pages long and I am so proud of
oh,
it.
oh. I'll keep that in mind when I come down to visit. It's like, okay, just know that you got 5 pages you're about to read today, buddy.
Hey, it's
I know you
big
didn't plan
font.
on it.
It's
Mm.
big font, and it also includes our, like, photo waiver and stuff, so
But I was gonna say, I'm more of a picture kind of guy. So if they're like pictures and maybe I don't
I
know,
think it
like
also yeah, I think it also includes our rule set, um, which we have to print out and put on the walls, which is mostly just like cut your toenails and brush your teeth. And don't rip heel
Important.
hooks. Yes, important. But I learned from the Reddit rabbit hole should be posted. As much as you think that it is a normal thing that people would do, you should still post it.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that that's something you have to remind people. Hey, brush your teeth before you come in to train. You're gonna be in close proximity with people, and also you're gonna be, I don't know, grabbing each other. Maybe cut your nails, toenails, fingernails, stuff like that.
Yeah.
These are important things you would think folks know, but not
Yeah.
everyone does.
This is why our bathroom, small but mighty, has mouthwash, flossers, and nail files. We
Fair
are
enough.
prepared with our one student. It's not even a student yet because we haven't started our memberships.
So I know, you know, previously when you were down in Georgia, I know you had your basement set up, like you had mats and everything. I always kind of just thought of it as like, oh, you have your own gym anyway. May as well just start like getting memberships and tuition and,
Yeah,
and everything. You're already like in that direction. So this is just kind of like the evolution of that, if you
I
will.
guess. I guess it's so strange that it seems like it was like setting everything up seemed simple, but when I look back on it, like, oh wait, that actually was a decent amount of work. I have a tendency to undersell what I've done. Um, but it was easy for me, and then I'm very privileged to have my law background. And so like all the business stuff that was associated with it was as nerdy as it sounds, fun for me to fill out paperwork and research. But it was also very difficult in like learning about commercial real estate, which was the hardest and longest
Oh,
process of finding a place to rent. Um, we're actually only at our space for like a year, maybe a year and a half, because one, I'm very risk averse, and two, we're also indecisive. So we found a place. For some reason, they're tearing this building down in like 2 years, even though there's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's perfectly fine.
hmm,
But it's like 1,500 square feet, and the rent was very cheap comparatively. And they would let us rent for a year. All the other places required usually a minimum of 5 years rent. And I was like, that is insane. And some of them were like, you could maybe talk down to 3 years. I was like, we're a small business starting up. We just spent all our savings moving. And I don't want to be on the line for, like the one place that was beautiful and huge and amazing, like what could have been state of the art jujitsu facility was like, I think $6,000 a month. I was like, do you have any, I'm talking to them, I was like, you have any idea how much that is? $6,000 a month for 5 years? He's like, yeah, I have exactly how much. I was like, okay. In my mind, I don't do math that quick. So I was just like, that's a lot of money. Fuck. He's like, I think
yeah.
it would be okay. I'm like, no, we're going for the cheap place that if we fail by next year, we could just say, great try, everybody, and go somewhere else.
Well,
Um,
yeah, there's
yeah.
some folks that will do the paint yourself into a corner and you have to, it's like, I'm gonna go with the biggest, grandest thing, and I have to succeed. And then there's like, hey, let's be safe because we expect to succeed, but the
Mhm.
world is a goofy place, and you never know.
Yes.
You don't
Yeah,
want to now be painted into a different corner. So,
exactly.
and also no, you always go for the cheapest. As long as the cheapest is still like suitable. I've gone
Yeah.
for the cheapest. I got a cheap drone, and it doesn't even fly. So, like, you don't want to always be like, if you're going to go for the cheapest, research the cheapest. I didn't, and
Yeah.
now it
Hey,
doesn't work.
we didn't go for the absolute cheapest, okay? The absolute cheapest was a place that was on Facebook Marketplace and next to a strip club.
Uh, I mean,
I thought
that
about it
pole
for a minute.
aerobics is a thing.
I did think about it for a minute. I was like, one, we can tell like the people that work at the strip club to come to jujitsu for their safety training, and that would be nice. And this part of town, other than next to a strip club, we're far from the other gyms, so that's good. Then I was like,
Sure.
hmm, I'm going to be here by myself sometimes. And I don't think I want to be here next to a strip club at night.
I mean, security. They got
Yeah,
bouncers.
yeah. And my fiance's like, well, look, the police station's like it's over there, I think. Like, I'd rather not. And so now we're not there. We're at the next level up, and next door to us is Jose Tequila, a nice
Nope.
Mexican restaurant, and a brewery across the street. So that to me is the perfect setup because we can go have margaritas or beers or both, and then crash on the mats, take a nice nap before we go home.
So you just crafted an ideal in my mind because I have a plan for BJJ or not BJJ Wiki, but off the mats.
Hmm.
And I also have the beer review podcast. So
Yeah.
I
Oh
see
man,
I
I
see
feel like I'm
something
ready to
coming.
go on your beer review podcast. Okay. The one
Oh boy.
thing about Vance is we we have like really expanded our love for beer. I guess he started with it 'cause he's from Colorado, and
Okay.
Coloradians apparently love their beer. And we have been basically on a brew tour around this area, going around finding all the different breweries to try. And I actually like some beers now. So,
Like so my co-host for that podcast, he's more into like keeping track of all the beers because I'll be at a liquor store, about to go to a party, and I'll shoot him a text like, "Yo, have we tried this beer before?" He's like, "Yeah, we tried that beer on," like, and he'll rattle off the episode and he'll rattle off our scores. I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I didn't like it. All right, then I'm gonna go ahead. How about this one? He's like, "Yeah, we did that one too." It's like, "All right, bet." Like,
yeah,
did I
I
like
think
it?
we need that system right now. We have it in our phone, like a shared notes app to keep track because, like, we'll be in the beer aisle, right? And it's like, did we try this? Did we like it? No, yes, don't remember. Let's try again. So, yeah, system is very important, we've learned.
Well, we'll talk off air. I have an idea. We might have to
Okay.
come up there and do a visit for the gym, and
Yeah.
then like we'll talk. I have because when you mentioned that you're open the gym, like I was like, okay, you guys came to mind for the one ideal. I already talked to one gym, and I'm gonna also talk to my gym for an ideal. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, I got three spots I could potentially start off with. And then,
Hmm.
oh, there's a brewery across the street from you. Hold on, we're gonna shift gears here a little bit. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go review some beers over there. So
Yeah.
we'll talk. We'll talk. We got some
Okay.
ideas,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like yeah, you know, the location, is very important.
Hmm.
Even though it might have been cheaper to go next door to the strip club, there are still some cons to that.
Yeah.
So glad you didn't go there.
Yeah. Yeah. And this place has like really good road signage. Like we're right on the corner. So,
Oh,
good free marketing that way. So, and it's just a good space. And I am, after building everything up ourselves, I'm so glad that we didn't do the giant space. Um, because we needed this small space for our trial and error. Uh,
mhm.
we decided to build the floor system up onto like the foam blocks. So it's a sprung floor system and it's so nice now. I am very, very proud of it. It's
Good.
so comfortable. And I know I'm still considered young, but for us grapplers that are over, I'd say 25, it is amazing because you can fall and it's like a cloud. I love it so much. I didn't know how much I needed it until I started rolling on it. But building it was like a disaster, even though it turned out well in the end, because I feel like I was bamboozled by Vance and by the internet. Okay, if you're ever interested, and to anybody listening, if you're ever interested in building your own subfloor for jujitsu, it is easy, but it is not easy because uh, like descriptions and PDFs that you can get online, for some reason, none of them are complete in telling you exactly what to do. It is not like a piece of IKEA furniture. I think one of them even said This build description is so easy. It's like building IKEA furniture. No, it's not. Okay. I I glued down 660 pieces of foam to plywood. We cut so much plywood. The frame was another story. I'll save you some time. Don't even, unless you're a woodworker, don't even build the frame. Just buy it. You can buy the frame pre-made. It's worth it. Do not try to figure
I
out how
always
to
would.
don't don't try to figure out your own route and route the wood yourself.
See, I know how my brain works in those situations when it's like, what is like, the first thought is like, well, I can build it myself and it'll be cheaper.
Mhm.
But then the other thought is because I can't focus on things like I
Mhm.
would. So we want to redo the basement bathroom down here, and
Mhm.
my wife and I had heavy discussions about we're negotiating. We're in negotiations for several weeks, and then they just fell apart. And they fell apart because I says to her, I can't focus long enough to do any of that. So, and this is a tiny bathroom. So,
Mhm.
just kind of thinking about that, it's like I know the way my brain works is like, look, is there any way we can just get this already pre-made? Because I'm gonna start putting it together, and then I'm gonna like lose focus after about 35 minutes, and then the gym will never open.
Yeah. So it's funny because that's how Vance is. He has wonderful plans, but he also is very like ADD and stuff. And then he also works 7 days straight, actually
Oof.
8 days straight. And so that's where I say I always felt like I was bamboozled by him because he goes, okay, so I'll help you get started on it. And this week, it'll take a couple of days and we'll get started on it. And then you'll be good to go. You'll know how to do everything. And it's just copy and paste and it'll be good. No, because we like to go and play and drink beer. So he did start it with me and he did help. He did help a lot. But then it came back to, okay, I guess I'm just doing this after work, sitting here trying to figure out how to do these real three-dimensional puzzles, which I'm not good at all. I like words. Um, it was embarrassing how long it took me to figure out how to lay out the plywood. It should have been a simple task. It really should have been. Because you're supposed to do one layer of plywood on top of the foam, and then another layer of plywood so it doesn't squeak and stuff and more supported. But you had to like offset that second layer so it wasn't just like the seams on top of the other seams. My brain melted while I was doing that stuff. Um, so more power to everybody that is gifted in that way because that's not me.
Yeah.
Um, I sent pictures to Vance. I was like bothering him at work. I was Googling. I was looking at my 6 different Reddit pages and PDFs on how to do all this stuff. I'm like, I don't understand how this works.
Dude,
But I
I
got it
feel like
done.
those things can get like there's always like you're told it should only take you this long, and
Mm-mm.
I don't think that's accurate at all. That's I
No.
had like a little mini desk that it was funny is I ordered this desk. It comes in, it says should take you 30 minutes to put together. Wrong. uh you know it didn't take 30 minutes, and I don't want to say how long it took
Mm-hmm.
because it was extremely embarrassing. And the worst thing is I don't even use the desk. It's never been used ever. It's just sitting upstairs in a corner. So, um, but I like his style because he finessed you into it. He said, "Hey, man, I got you. We're gonna start this." He was like, "You got this
And
the rest of the way, right?"
I really should have known because this wasn't the first project. Okay, he has turned me into Miss Bob the Builder. Okay, when we met, true story, I hired somebody to mount my TV. That's the skill level I had. I had a Ryobi screwdriver, not the strong one, and a pink toolbox. And I hired somebody to mount our TV, and he's like, why did you hire somebody to mount a TV? That is so easy to do. I was like, no, that's scary. You have to go into the studs and do all the stuff. I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Wait, is it easy? Because I didn't like. I hire people to do that shit because it. I was like, I don't
Apparently,
know.
it's easy if you have a stud finder. I didn't know
Mm.
that. But the mats were our third project. First project was building a catio on our porch, um, which was actually pretty easy, I will say, although I still messed it up. But he did the same thing. You know, we start the project and then he goes to work and he's like, okay, you just finish it. And to be fair, I do finish it. It is just not done correctly. But it is
But it's
finished to the
finished.
point where it is workable. Second project was the bird aviary, because I have a parrot in a house of cats and a dog who want to eat the parrot. And any uh, Google search will tell you that bird's not going to live more than a little bit. My friends took bets that she wouldn't make it past 3 months. It's been 6, so we're great. Um,
Collect your money.
Pro building, okay? And we built it very cheaply, because I did not know how much parrot things were to build the thing that we built, which is like a 2 foot wide by like 6 foot long aviary. I showed you a picture. It's like floor to ceiling, clear plastic sheeting. And that's all we needed to protect the bird and keep her happy. That was more than she needed. She did not need as much, but she's very happy. Anyway, $10,000 to order that thing. I
Yeesh.
know. Now they look a lot nicer than ours. Okay, I will say that. It's like a piece of furniture and it's like really woodworked and it's made of glass and it has, it's really nice. I'm like, no, that I don't like this bird at all. She's getting the cheapest wood Home Depot has to offer. And screwing it all together. And we did it. I built a door from scratch.
Well,
I don't know how I
me,
did it. It was kind of wrong, but he fixed it later. So I'm
but
still
he's
saying I
bringing
built
out
a
the
door.
best in you.
It's great, great partners. I don't know what I'm doing for him besides accelerating his projects.
Well, you're building.
Yes, I'm the worker bee.
He's like, I'm gonna help you become your best self. And how's that? I'm
Yeah.
gonna have you build all these things. Well, I feel
Hmm.
so bad because I'm not doing anything for you. No, no, really, you actually are. You've built a house.
Yeah, and a
It's
gym.
perfect.
I like he literally like, I think he went to work one week and then he was finished, like, when he was working, I say he went to work for the week, he comes home at night, but he comes home at, like, midnight, so it's not really like he's home, and then, like, he got off work, I was like, "Here, here's a jujitsu gym for you. Are you happy? Do you like it?" He's like, "Oh, very nice." So I think that's where I've gone wrong. I've succeeded. I've girl bossed too close to the sun, and I have not allowed myself uh to just chill and relax because I get so encouraged by doing these fun things. And that's how I've barely been training the last 6 months because I've been building things.
I must now go turn this power over and use it on my wife. I was gonna go to my wife and I was like, hey, so this basement, that bathroom project we were talking about, I really believe in you. I think you could really do this. And I've already got all the pieces for you. Here you go. Actually, but she would actually do it because there are times where I think my wife will talk about a project. And if I start the project and it's more of a like, oh, I was going to do that. I was like, well, no, I mean, I'm already here, so I'm doing it. And then the
Mhm.
second that I'm taking a break or I'm away from it, she
Mhm.
jumps in and just is like, I'm going to finish it. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I mean,
Yes.
that's not even on purpose. That's not something that I'm intentionally doing. That's just how it works. I'll start something. She's like, I
Yeah.
got this. And I was like, all right. So now that I'm aware of that, I need to just start doing that more often. Just start projects. I'm gonna like go like start working on the car. And you're like, oh.
This
Man,
bitch
let
got
me
me
go.
into cars too. Oh my god. He is I'm glad we had this talk. I need to reconsider this. Okay. He got me into cars and into have you ever heard of Brandon Sanderson, the
Yes.
author? He got me into Brandon Sanderson, and how long those books are.
I mean,
He's taken over
it,
my
it,
life.
to be fair, just kind of the things I know of you, it kind of all lines up.
It does. It really does.
So,
But it's it's kind of irritating that it's all just working out so well
oh,
that
that's
I
good
have
for
to do
you.
it all at the same time. Yeah, he got me into cars. And we were like, now that I will say didn't go as well as he thought. Okay. Because I, while I can do things building wise, like the stuff I'm doing, it doesn't really matter if the screw isn't in completely straight. It really matters if it's on a car.
Oh yeah.
It really matters. So I think he learned my limits on cars. And I just like car go fast. Car is pretty. I like cleaning cars. I'm good at that and it's safe for me to do. But I've always liked cleaning things. And like getting the new things and making it all
Hmm.
pretty and shiny and smelling good. So that's really my job now with the cars. Is I clean them, he makes them go fast.
I just look at cars and I think, honestly, I'm not a car person, and not in any way, shape, or form. I
Mhm.
just, it's just, it never computed for me. You know, I have friends, they love cars. They talk about all types of different cars and all types of things different cars do. And I'm just like, son, look, all I know is I need to go get some gas in my car so I can get to work tomorrow. I mean, even at work, I have a work van, and they're like, just take care of it as if it's your own. I was like, oh no,
You don't want
I
that.
don't say that. 'Cause, like that, no, not at all. No, bad choice. I mean, to be fair though, I have been treating my work van very, very respectfully. It's like as soon as I say, "Oh, oil change, let's go get it done." Oh, wait a minute,
Mhm.
I hear a weird sound. Let's go get that checked out. Oh, tires need air. I got you. So I guess when it's not mine, I'm going to treat it a lot better. But when it's mine, it should be the other way around. I should probably treat my shit better. But either way, I
It's
don't know shit
probably
about
best.
cars, so I now know if something goes goofy, I'm just going to shoot you a message, be like, "Hey, do you guys know about this?" Because I don't.
I really barely know, and I'm honestly learning even less now because I switched over to an electric car, and so I don't even have to take it for oil changes or gas.
Oh,
It's
true,
great. It's the best
very
girly
true.
pop car out there. If you want the littlest maintenance for a car, get an electric car. You don't have to get gas, you don't have to change the oil. It's brilliant.
I see folks at the library charging their car, and I'm okay with just like chilling because it's like, oh, it looks like you're charging your car, you get they're reading a book, they're at the library, so I'm like that's
Mhm.
perfect. And I was telling that to my wife. She was like, "No, not at all." I was like, "Okay, it was just a suggestion, just because. I mean, I'm going to be at the library anyway, so why not?"
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what the fuck do I know, right?
I think, electric cars are great for planners because if I wanna go on a road trip, I have to plan very carefully like what route I'm going on and where I'm gonna stop. Um, but besides that, it's really like driving it. I don't think it's taking that much longer with the charges because it has like a fast charge thing. So like
Mhm.
anywhere I go on a road trip, I'm stopping a couple times. I'm getting my lunch. I'm sitting. I'm drinking my coffee. And where did they put all those chargers? At the Starbucks, at the library, at
Of
nice
course.
places to stop and sit for a minute. So it works out great. I stop for 20 minutes, it's fully charged.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, 20 minutes. I mean, shit.
That's not even enough time for a coffee.
Yeah, I'm down for like a 35-minute stop if I need 20 minutes. I might gotta make some excuses
Yeah.
because I need that extra 15 minutes. I don't know. I might be reading a comic book. Like, I
Yeah.
know my wife, she breezes through a comic book. I'm like, hey, I know I'm a picture guy, but I still want to break down the picture. I got to know what's going on in the picture. Oh, and
Yeah.
words.
Yeah. He got me on comics too. A
Oh,
little tiny bit, not really.
oh,
Only
nice.
in
Oh,
that there's a comic named after our gym. And some it's called Sirens. It's like the DC
oh,
Sirens.
DC Sirens. Yeah.
Yeah. I said
Harley,
that wrong.
Poison Ivy.
The comic is definitely not named after our gym. It shares the name. That would be freaking
I,
awesome, but no.
I get you.
Um, it just so happened that they share the name, and now we're on the lookout for the. I think there's 4, and we have 2 of them.
Hmm.
Yeah, need
Um,
to frame them. They're just like on the wall at the gym, but I want to frame them up and put them up there.
it's funny. I think I have in my collection the first Sirens #1, I believe. I just
Really?
went through all my books and I was like trying to figure out what I'm doing because
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of the books and they're like they have high value. And I'm like, well, like what are you really doing with these? Like, are you gonna sell them? Are you keeping them? Why are you keeping them? So that's
Hmm.
what I'm trying to sort out with my life right now. And then
Yeah.
so who knows? But if I stumble across that book, I
Yeah.
will bring that to you all because
I
I like
appreciate it.
I'm really like now after we get done recording, I'm almost positive I'm gonna go sit down and just take out all the books and dump them on the floor again and start going through them. And my wife's gonna come home like, "What are you doing?" It's like I don't know. Just let me do what I'm doing. It's a project. Just be happy I'm not doing meth. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
looking through comic books, uh, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like sounds like everything that you got going on over there. I mean, obviously keeping you busy, but also too, it's like you know, uh, like adulting, goal setting. It's like
No,
you got this
don't.
thing, you move on to that thing, and doing the big things.
I don't like to think of it as adulting. Everybody's they like hear like, "Oh, you guys are like these professionals. You're doing all this stuff." I'm like, "I'm just winging it, okay? We are just we are overgrown kids with too much money, okay?
Well,
We're just
I
going and
think
winging it." And especially for him, I feel like an enabler because we should be
of
making
course.
more sound financial decisions. We're not doing anything too crazy, but we are not being, especially in today's economy, we're not being like super thrifty savers, even though we like to do stuff ourselves. But Vance literally grew up in a carnival. Um,
Nice.
like it's kind of crazy and wild and interesting. And he's like, now he has like his doctor job and he's making that really nice money. And he's like, I want to get, he wants the projector for our house to have 150-inch TV projected on the wall. Um, when he met me, I
Nothing wrong
had
with
like a
that.
32-inch TV. I don't get into all that stuff, but I enjoy it. But I'm like, I feel bad because I'm like, I feel like we should save money, that we shouldn't buy this like super fancy, expensive thing. We're doing all this stuff. But I feel so bad because like he wants it and he's, working really hard and doing all this stuff. But I'm like, am I an enabler if I say, yeah, let's get this super crazy thing? Or am I a mean person if I say you can't have it? I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, the thing is though, too, it's like we're all like you said, we're all kids. Like I think everyone that's adulting is just doing that. We're just winging it. And
Yeah.
we all are just kids. My buddy and I always point out the fact that, we're big kids. He plays video games a bunch, you know.
Mhm.
And I always point out how if this were 40 years ago, even 20 years ago, you know, a 47-year-old man isn't doing jujitsu unless he's been doing it for 40 years. And
Mhm.
at that point. So I think in terms of, he wants the big old TV. You know what? Get the big old TV. You know why? Because like if he doesn't get it, he's gonna like, and I can say this from my own experience, he's gonna sulk. He's gonna walk around
Yeah,
pouting
I
and
know.
you're like, what's wrong? And he's gonna like, no, nothing. It's just I can't get this tie right, or belt's not tying right, or my gi doesn't fit anymore. And really, all it is he wants the TV, because once he gets the
Yeah.
TV, his gi will fit perfect. He'll be able to tie
Mhm.
his belt
Mhm.
like like a ninja, like
Yeah.
everything's gonna be right. Whereas if he doesn't get the TV, the stock market's gonna crash. Babies are gonna cry every time they see him. Horrible
Mhm.
things. So like, let him
Yeah.
get the TV so babies won't cry.
I told him, "Let's at least just wait until after our wedding, and we get, like, some members at the gym to help offset that
Not
cost."
fair.
I was like, I'll be reasonable. I think that's pretty fair. Another month or 2, and
That's
he'll be
that's a
fine.
fair deal. Fair deal.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. In
with
the
the
meantime, we're still playing video games and being kids, so I think it's
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
I, I just I went to Dave and Buster's the other day. I had 20,000 tickets to spend,
Oh, wow.
and I don't want to talk about how I got those tickets because I explained it on another podcast and I got judged for it. So I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I didn't look at it that way." But you guys are kind of monsters for saying that about me. But I had 20,000 points and I'm sitting there looking like, hey, maybe I can get a PS5 now from Dave and Buster's. I needed quite a few more points. Um,
Um,
but, but I was trending in the right direction.
mhm.
So I ended up getting another drone. This one worked. It
Nice.
flew. Got it stuck in a
Yeah.
tree though.
Oh, no.
So and then the wind blew it out the tree a couple days later, but it also rained, so that one died as well.
Um,
So the point that I'm getting at is be a big kid, buy all the drones, buy all the video games, buy all the TVs, have a blast,
yeah.
but make sure you're able to there's a course to get there first.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and, that's what I guess that's the real thing that I'm bringing to the party is I'm the, uh, financial keeper of the house, and I don't know why I got that job, um, but I'm
Obviously
like,
he can't
"Oh,
do it.
no, obviously not." He's a man, he can't do it, it's like uh, one of the books that we listen to, it's like the men don't read or, handle the money, and I'm like, "Huh, interesting." Um,
No, these are
but
facts.
yeah, I'm like, "Oh gosh, I'm, like, responsible for more than myself now." I don't know how parents do it with little humans to keep alive.
I don't.
It's terrifying. I would be terrified every day of my life if I had a child.
I'm only terrified when my wife says, "Hey, you guys want to go out to the mall?" And it's just my daughter and I. And I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what? Like, I got to take her out, like by myself? What do you mean? Nah." Like, my daughter always asks to do daddy daughter day, and we'll go out to like
Mhm.
the comic shop. We'll go out to the mall.
Aw.
We'll all have lunch, stuff like that. And because she's older now, it's a lot easier. But if she
Mhm.
were like 3, I'd be like, "Nah, like I don't think that's gonna work. Like neither one of us is mature enough for this."
Yeah.
So now that
Well,
she's
and
8,
that's
it's
no,
working.
but it's gonna get worse because then you guys are gonna, like, get in to your groove and start egging each other on and be two like, one actual kid and a grown kid, and then you'll be like, "Vince and I were like, oh, we were supposed to do this adult thing today or the last 3 days, and look at that. We ended up just going around town, trying restaurants, trying beer places, going to festivals. We didn't do anything we were supposed to do.
Yeah,
Oh, and now it's Monday. We have to go to work. Oopsies."
yeah. We still do that. My like when my daughter and I do go to the comic book shop, she ends up getting a bunch of books because dad. And my
Mhm.
wife, as soon as we get back, she's like, "Oh, so dad let you get comic books?" I was like, "Well, we were at a comic book shop. What were
Lord.
we not gonna get comic books?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, but not this many." She's like, "Eh." Well, nobody said there was a limit. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I do have less money, so can I have some money, lady?
Yeah.
Um, but But yeah, but look, it's fine. Being an adult is fine. Like we got this covered. We're winging it, and we got it figured out. Um,
Maybe.
maybe,
And
but
if we
like,
don't figure it out, everything's fixable, pretty much.
yeah,
That's the
yeah. I
motto
mean,
I've been living by, and that I keep reminding Vance of when I've built something that's not correct. I'm like, it is fixable. So it's okay.
that's what I do try to remind my wife of when I do mess up. She doesn't give me too much of a hard time when I do something goofy because I
Mhm.
mean, 25 years. I think she understands at this point. It's like he's gonna do some dumb things, and that's quite all right because well, I knew what I was getting into, but
Mhm.
most things have been fixable. Most things are fixable. I have not set one single thing on fire.
You're
No,
better than
no.
me.
We did try
I've
to
said it
grill
for
in
a
the
long
house
time.
once,
Mm,
but we didn't set it on fire. Like the
that's
house
good.
did get the apartment got really smoky. The smoke alarms went off.
Mhm.
We had to. It was like a little small grill,
Mhm.
and like we ended up having to throw it out the backyard, run the Super Bowl party. So, moral of the story is, yeah, things are fixable. Um,
Yes,
so yeah,
most everything is fixable.
yep, yep.
Even your jujitsu, even when you think your jujitsu.
I don't know about that.
No, it
My
is. Did you know I can pass now? Like, I think we always talk about how I don't pass. I can pass now. It's incredible. Vance
so
fixed it.
I feel like that was only a matter of time, though, right? I
No,
mean,
it was
I
a
knew you could
matter
get
of
there.
he like told me it was kind of needed since I was a purple belt and couldn't pass. He's like, you should fix that. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Mm,
actually, you should fix that. You're gonna teach me how to do it. And he did. I don't think he enjoyed it because I am a horrible student. Um, for him, I talk back a lot. I know, and he's a saint for putting up with me. But we got through it, and I can pass now.
well, good, good. What's your favorite pass?
Basic bitch knee cut.
Oh, of course. Who
Yeah,
doesn't love a good knee cut?
yeah. Well, basically anything from like headquarters. I'm still working on like fancy stuff. He does a beautiful. He calls it Skywalker pass.
Hmm.
Don't ask me how to describe it. I can barely do it myself. But it's like from headquarters, and he kind of like dances and balances on the
Oh, I know.
opponent's
Mhm.
shins. Yeah, and just to me, it looks like he just floats over, like if he just
Yes, a
butterflies.
floating pass.
Yeah, and for me, it's not that. It's crash and sweep myself.
It takes some finessing for sure. 'Cause
Mhm.
we've worked on it before, and I do the same thing. I just crash, and I'm like, you know what? Let's get back here. I'm going for this knee cut, and if I can't get the knee cut, then I'm gonna just collapse you and just smash.
Yeah,
Because that's all I know. It's just
yeah,
be as heavy as I can and make you miserable, and then eventually you just say, just go, dude.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but good, good. I'm glad you've gotten to that new milestone, another
Mhm.
milestone for you there.
Yes,
Uh,
and soon I will know takedowns. Um,
See, look at you, baby steps, just
I know.
crawling.
It's not so much baby steps, it's being kicked out of the nest. That is the only way that I
True.
really step out of my comfort zone if it's something that seems scary to me, is somebody just be like, "Just fucking do it." And that's
Mm,
how I'm gonna have to learn to do takedowns because the weeks that he's working, yours truly has to teach class, and his course curricula is every class starts with 10 minutes of takedowns.
oof.
And I said, I I barely know one takedown. How am I supposed to teach that? Um, so I am in crash course, literally
Outsource it,
crash. I would, but we don't know anyone here.
dude. There's got to be a hobo somewhere nearby that wrestled once. Like I
I'm
know a couple of homeless
trying,
guys.
yeah, I'm trying to actually get there's a judo club, the town up from us, and they train out of the jiu-jitsu gyms. but we're the only one that has the sprung floors. And you know what judo people love?
Oh yeah.
Soft floors. So I was like, "Do you guys want to come down here? And it's only 30 minutes, and you could teach a class every once in a while, and you get to train here for free." Um, so
I
we'll
like
see
it
about that.
already.
Yeah,
Sounds
we'll
like a good
see.
plan.
Yeah, yeah, and we'd like to have more stuff like that because, like, right now we just have the whole gym, and it's just there, and except for our maybe 5 days a week, 1 hour that we're open, and it seems kind of wasteful. So I'm like, we should get somebody else in here to do something, like yoga classes, judo classes, something.
Yeah. I mean, growing over time, you'll get to it because,
Yeah.
you got to first find your base, you know,
Mm.
see what you got coming in, and then, y- you know, just kind of build off of that. Because I don't know what it's like to open a gym. I wouldn't even know the first thought of like, how do you start this? Where's the ideal come from, other than, to me, it's like, hey, let's work on these things because I worked on this thing last week in this class. So we're gonna do reverse Del Hiva. It's like, okay. It's like,
Yeah.
well, we don't even know what any of that means. Yeah, well, we're gonna learn it. We're gonna figure it
Mhm.
out today. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea. That's the part that's not for me. That is advanced 100% of the way. Said you could I'll build the gym up for you, but you do the curriculum because I am not going to be the one. You don't want me teaching it because all we'll have is a gym full of closed card players. Just be like the
they're shooting
Spider-Man meme.
triangles.
Yeah. Um, he has a whole curricula thought out, and we're starting with side control. It's like,
It's a
okay,
good start.
seems good. Except for the women's only classes are mine to teach, and I haven't decided what we're gonna do on that yet.
I was
Um,
just about to ask, like, do you have a plan?
I am gonna watch some like self-defense videos, maybe some like Gracie combatives, and have Vance show me a few things. He comes from a Gracie background. I had no idea what Gracie combatives were like last year. Um, but I think that would be good just for the women's only class to introduce them to things like that, a little bit more self-defense related than sports jiu-jitsu related. Um,
Sure.
but yeah, I think for our first class, we'll kind of run it the way that we're gonna have our general classes. So have everybody come in, 5 minute like stretching, warm up, and then I don't think we'll do a takedown because to me, one, that's sport jujitsu. That's not a defensive thing. So
True.
it's also my way to bitch out of teaching a takedown.
Well,
Um, but we'll do, I think, some like grip breaking, which is pretty good self defense, and then how to fall correctly, break falling, and we'll do some mount and side control escapes and some close guard attacks. And I just did, we were drilling I guess like a dummy sweep, essentially from sit up guard.
mhm.
And I think that would be a good start um, for the women's only. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you fill it out, and then, go by feel, see how
Yeah.
everybody's adapting. So,
Yeah.
you know,
One
you'll
thing I
get it.
really, yeah, one thing I really like about the way that Vance teaches, which is like different than how we ran at my gym in Georgia, is we're, I mean, he has like an actual class format of easy warm up, takedowns, learn the movement, and then live drilling. And still being my dog. That live drilling is not something that I was trained with really, aside from just drilling the movement, but with like very little or minimal resistance. And so
Mhm.
instead, we're drilling the movement for almost the entire after we've learned the move the rest of class is essentially drilling, and we start at your partner giving you like 30 to 50% resistance, switch, and then you each do, you take your turns, and
Mm-hmm.
then I think we're doing 2 rounds of that, so everybody gets 2 times 2-minute rounds of drilling against a partner going 30 to 50%. And then every time you get out of that position, you reset and go again. And then the last maybe 5 to 10 minutes we'll spend actually rolling, but you still have to start in that position that we started in class. And that has been really, really helpful for my jiu-jitsu, of just learning how to put the move that we just practiced into my training. Because mostly we would just, at my gym in Georgia, we would just be like, okay, drill the move 10 times each side. Okay, now we roll. Which is great fun. Don't get me wrong. And I learned my skills well enough that way. And I still love rolling. That's why we have half an hour to hour after our hour class of just open mat rolling time. But you learn so much faster this way. So
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to start with a little fresh batch of white belts and be like, yes, this is the way. Don't they won't complain because they don't know any different. To me, when I met Vance, he was like, this is how I teach a class. This is how you do. This is how you're gonna learn. I hated it because I wasn't getting to roll. I just want to go and roll and have a good time. And yeah, I'll learn a move, and it's like, yeah, I learned that. I totally remember it 2 weeks later. Totally, I've got it 100%. Um, once I took the bit, it actually worked out really well, and it's a great, great training method. So I'm
Oh
excited to implement that, because
yeah.
I probably would have learned how to pass way sooner if I had been training that way. Something would have stuck before now.
Yeah, it's super helpful. We do that at our gym.
Mhm.
Well, our Saturday class. Well, even I think most of our classes are 90 minutes. In the first uh hour, we're going over the technique. The last half hour is just open mat sparring or drilling,
Mhm.
whichever one you want to do. But
Mhm.
those last like 15 minutes, we're doing situational drilling where,
Mhm.
whatever we just worked on, we're going to start in that position
Mhm.
and figure it out from there. We did the Sao Paulo pass
Mhm.
yesterday,
Mhm.
and we've worked on it before and it didn't click. And I've been trying it since the last time. I was like, something's missing, something's missing. And then we did it yesterday. And I saw the one thing that I was missing. I was like, oh my, and once it was time to do those situationals, oh, like I felt like a magician. I was like, oh my goodness, this half guard pressure. Oh,
Mhm.
y'all are about to eat all of it. Um, but yeah, the situational drilling is super helpful. And I know for me lately, I say lately, I guess now for the past year, actually, I've been recording my rounds,
Mhm.
including those situational rounds as well. And when the coach is explaining the move, so I'm basically essentially recording the whole class. Uh, you know, but I go back and that's how I take my notes now. Because
Mhm.
I
That's
used
good.
to try to do the notes because I have a 1 hour window
Mhm.
from leaving class to getting home. After an hour, I don't have it and I'm just guessing at that point and I'm
Mhm.
just making things up when I'm writing. If you look at some of those notes, you're like, none of that makes sense. Like, I don't even think you're not even writing about jujitsu anymore. I'm pretty sure Wonder Woman wasn't there, but you wrote Wonder Woman. So you're being weird. But now, after doing the videos, I come home, I write down what coach is showing us,
Mhm.
and then I look at myself drilling it. And then I look at the live rounds where I don't do any of what we just worked on because it's I'm just gonna stick to my game now, and
Mhm.
which always fails me. So maybe I should get a new game if it keeps failing me,
No,
I guess. But
no,
yeah,
just Try it a little different. Be more
Yeah,
persistent about it.
just keep diving into triangles. Like it's got to
Yeah.
work one day, right?
Yeah.
Um,
One day it'll be fine.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, the situationals I always felt were so important because that was a later thing for us as well,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it
And I
definitely
think
accelerates you.
it's it's an excellent practice. It's hard to implement. I think the hardest thing that we're having or going to face is explaining the resistance portion.
Hmm.
Um, and Vance is really good at explaining that of like your partner should be escaping or just depending on the move. Your partner should be successful at the move 50% of the time if you're giving them 50% resistance is the way he explains it. So to because like if you hear 50% resistance, like I know I am very me, so I'm like, okay, I will give this person 50% of my strength. That's not what we're going for. We're going for when are they going to be successful 50% of the time. So I might give them 30% of my strength so that they're working through the things but not like muscling out of it, and just adjusting it. And I think that it's also going to help our white belts once they understand the concept of resistance and changing that. That'll hopefully help them with their flow rolling, which is not a real thing for white belts, but they'll get there. Um,
And some
but
blue.
yeah. But just explaining to people how to do it and make it effective, because it takes a lot of communication, Um,
Hmm.
I mean, unless you're black belt, like to me, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating doing it, like my situational sparring with Vance because when he holds me up to like the high standard, so he won't let me. It's great training with a black belt because you're gonna learn it correctly. But dang, if it's not frustrating, because I really like positive feedback and I'm just sitting here going against a brick wall. I'm like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? He's like, just do it right. Like, I don't know how to do it right. I'm trying. Can you just
I
let me
am
do it?
doing it right.
Yeah. He's like, no, you're not. And I'm not going to let you do it. So to me, I'm like, that's not 50% resistance if you're not letting me do it. um, but yeah, just getting that conversation going with people and being like, okay, how are you guys feeling? And a big part of it is going to be watching them sparring and being like, hey, we're drilling side control escapes. And I noticed for the full 2 minutes, your partner has not escaped. Are they that bad? Or are you being bullied? You need to change.
Hey, sometimes we like being bullies.
That's
We
what
don't
the
like to be
last half
bullied.
hour of class is,
True.
you
True.
know? Yeah. And that's the other way where, like, I said to Vance, I was like, okay, we can have it where we do all of your situational drilling and everybody's going to be really good at jujitsu, but I really want my open mat and my sparring time. And I also know getting higher belts to come to our gym, they might not be, I feel like me at least, I went through a time where I'm like, I don't even want to drill anything. I just want to go and roll. And I like just wanted to go to open mats. So we're going to be like non-traditional in the way of if you're late to class, say you work until 7:45, that's okay. You can come and do open mat time. And you don't have to do any push-ups to do it either. I don't care.
Hey, as
Vance
long as
might
we're
care,
getting some
but I
time
won't
on the
tell.
mat.
Yeah, just come and train. But yeah, I'm like, I won't tell if you just want to come and roll. That's fine too.
Well, that's fair enough, and that works. Like I said, as
Yeah.
long as you get on the mats and you get something, got to get something out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Julia, this has been awesome. Love
Mm-hmm.
chatting with you and catching up.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. But before we get out of here, you got
Mhm.
any shout outs or mentions you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Oh goodness. Um, I had not thought this through. I guess if you
Mm,
are trying to promote anything or design anything, Canva is like the best way I've seen to design stuff. So try that out. And then also, can I shout out like our own stuff?
Of course. I want you to. I'd feel weird if you did it and I was going like, Julia, what are you doing?
See, this is why we don't have any members because I don't know how to promote my stuff.
We share
Like,
that in
it
common.
sounds like it's bragging if I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, come do this," and I don't I don't know. Anyway, come to Siren Jiu-Jitsu if you're in the 757 area. We have a beautiful mats, very soft, and it's a cool place, and if you're too far away, be on the lookout, follow us on socials because we are getting some really cool gear in. We're working with Godiva actually and created our own fully customized rash guards. And that reminds me, I need to put the mock up on our website for pre orders because they look so cool. They look like Aquaman rash guards because our logo is a siren mermaid and it's not a girly one. Yes, Siren Jiu-Jitsu. It's not like a girly rash guard. We will do that one later, but it's it's a really cool looking rash guard, and we get them at wholesale prices, and I just want people to wear them, so we're not trying to like mark them up. So they're actually cheaper than a Godiva rash guard is. So
Well, I'll be sure to put you all in the show notes there and shout you out and make
thank
sure
you,
everybody knows. Um,
thank you.
and I do want to come down and visit. We're trying
Yeah,
to, like I said, we'll talk off there. Okay, I've got some ideas,
yeah.
but thank you, Julia. And as always, to the listeners, thank you. If you have any questions, concerns, criticisms, anything, feel free to reach out. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram and also Off the Mats Podcast on Instagram. You want to be a guest, reach out. If you want to tell me that my sound isn't great, let me know because I do get self-conscious about the sound sometimes. Sometimes I just be throwing the episodes up. I don't even listen to it. I just put them up. So I don't even know what it sounds like. And then there's sometimes I'll listen and I'm like, ooh, those S sounds are a little sharp. And it's probably not even. It's just me being overcritical. So let me know, if you got something to say. And if it's not nice, come see me. I just want to talk. Uh, I want to give a big shout out to my crew at Nerd Rage Radio. We're going to be coming up on episode 500 over there real soon. So, milestone year for all of the podcasts. So, Bobby, Chris, Joe, Maryland Phil, Ricky Ticky, everyone over there, thank you. We love you guys. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. So, thank you to Nerd Rage Radio. Also, want to shout out my horror podcast. So, you like horror? If you're into scary movies, go check the joint out. You know, I'm doing polls right now in Instagram stories. Well, by the time this episode comes out, the polls are going to be done because I've already got the last 3 polls set. But for our next theme for 2026, because it's going to be a lot of work, we're going to be talking about horror TV series. So I'm gonna have to start doing that research soon. So I got to find out what you all, as the listeners, want to hear. And our current theme is remakes versus originals. So we've already done Amityville. We already did 13 Ghosts, the remake versus the original. We're going to be doing, I believe, Nightmare on Elm Street coming up. And then we got some others. Nosferatu. I'm going to have Jen and Amy do that episode. So go check it out. If you like scary movies, so you like horror, is where you can find it on Spotify, Apple, wherever you find podcasts. But if you want to follow it on Instagram, all the words are separated by underscores. So you like horror, go check it out. And last but not least, I want to give a big shout out here to my guest today, longtime friend to the podcast. And it's been a while since we talked, so I'm glad we got to do this. Miss
Mhm.
Julia B. Thank you for this. And thank you for just being a cool person, and congrats on everything going on for you.
Thank
So
you.
we look forward
Thank
to
you. Thank
the
you.
rest of the year.
Yes.
And you all, as listeners, we love you. You guys know what it is. You guys
Yes.
keep listening. We're going to definitely keep making these shows. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
They were with it. Now let me sing a song.